we are ready. It's the appointed time. I'd like to welcome each of our council members, and we'll call the meeting to order. Councilman Moore, would you do the invocation, please?
Okay. Stand, please. Our Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your caring. Thank you for creating us. If you wish to answer new business to this town, in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Would you join me in the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated.
Got it going on in about 4 different locations.
Again, welcome each of you. At this point, item number 5 is the approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion?
Councilman Hunt.
I second the motion.
Mayor, I believe Councilman Moy made the motion, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Hines, to approve the agenda as presented. And if it's all right, I'll poll the board. I'll start with Councilman Moy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson, Councilman Smith,
Yes.
and Councilman Moore.
Yes.
I believe we have votes all in favor of approving the agenda as presented.
Okay. Going on, item number 6 is a proclamation. I'd ask the clerk, Mr. Harvey, to read that proclamation, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, the proclamation is on Black History Month. Whereas much of the town of Winterville's honor, strength, stature can be attributed to the diversity of cultures and traditions that are celebrated by the residents of this great region, and whereas February has been designated as Black History Month, in which we pause to reflect on the contributions of the African American community, and whereas African Americans have played significant roles in the history of North Carolina state's economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development, while working tirelessly to maintain and promote their culture and history, and whereas as a result of their determination, hard work, intelligence, and perseverance, African Americans have worked tirelessly to maintain and promote a valuable and lasting contribution to the town of Winterville, our state and nation, achieving exceptional success in all aspects of society, including business, education, politics, economy, culture, science, arts, and history. And whereas this observance affords special opportunity to become more knowledgeable about Black heritage and to honor the many Black leaders who have contributed to the progress of our nation and community, and whereas such knowledge can strengthen the insight of all our citizens regarding the issues of human rights, the great strides that have been made in the crusade to eliminate the barriers of equality for minority groups, and the continuing struggle against racial discrimination and poverty, and whereas we join with all Americans in celebrating our diverse heritage and culture and continuing our efforts to protect democracy for all people and recognize the vital achievements of our local African American residents, and now therefore be it resolved that I do hereby proclaim the month of February 2021 is Black History Month and express special commendation to the dedicated volunteers who have labored so diligently to make this observance a reality in our community. And in witness there, wherefore, I do set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 8th day of February, 2021. Mayor Douglas Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Moving on, item number 7 is a presentation, Ms. Metronet, Ms. Kathy Schuler. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Mayor, Ms. Kathy Scheller, I believe, is with us this evening. Ms. Scheller is the Director of Governmental Affairs for MetroNet. Kathy, are you with us?
I certainly am.
Welcome. We appreciate you being with us this evening. Just let me know as you go through your presentation when you're ready to go to the next slide, and I'll be glad to maneuver that for you. But with that said, I'll be glad to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much. Mayor Jackson, members of council, town manager Parker, and city staff. My name is Kathy Scheller, and I'm the Government Affairs Director for MetroNet. While I do have a slide that was included for my presentation, I wanted to just use that for a basis of discussion and an opportunity for you to learn more about our company. As you may know, MetroNet has recently kicked off construction. We had our construction kickoff meeting in Greenville, North Carolina. We find this entire area to be a wonderful area where we believe that we can make an impact. MetroNet is a fiber optic company. We are headquartered in Evansville, Indiana, and we provide fiber optic internet, television, and phone. All of it, again, is a direct fiber connection to the home. We have grown as an organization to over 9 states and 90-plus communities. We have over 210,000 customers, and we have a passion for customer service. I've been with the organization for 7.5 years, and I found that our passion for customer service and coming into markets that are underserved has been our niche and our claim to fame, so to speak. When we came to Greenville recently through a series of events, we of course took a look at Winterville. What a great community, just right attached. I mean, we would be driving through Greenville, and I shared this with town manager Parker, and all of a sudden our tour guide would say, well, no, now you're in Winterville. And I said, oh, okay. So we would really realize the close connection that you have with Greenville. But make no mistake about it, as an organization, we know that every community is very different, and we look forward to working with Winterville to bring this fiber optic world-class infrastructure in. What we provide, as I mentioned, is a direct fiber optic connection. Our lowest offering is 100 meg down, 100 meg up. We offer symmetrical gigabit speeds. Our highest, as I just mentioned, is a gig down, a gig up. This is world-class fiber optics. And what we do is we go through a very deep due diligence process to ensure that we are going to a place where the residents can understand not only a new competitor coming into town, because as elected officials, that's what you want, is your constituents to have choice. But what we believe when we choose to come in and invest this entirely on our own is that we can make an impact. And Winterville has been chosen by our organization as a place that we believe we can do that. What is the difference between fiber optics and you know, to the node or sharing fiber? The difference is that your connection, the connection that your residents will have to your home, the only devices on that connection will be theirs. So you're not sharing with your neighborhood. There's no buffering. However many devices you have in your home are the only ones on your strand of fiber optics. Fiber, quality of life, it's going to be reliable now more than ever, especially during a time of COVID. Look at how we're having our meetings now. Reliably fast broadband is absolutely critical. And it allows for simultaneous streaming, distance learning, telecommuting, having meetings very effectively. It's future-proof, unlimited capacity. Once you get this infrastructure, this is brand new infrastructure that we will be providing after working with town staff in Winterville. It's virtually unlimited capacity. As technology increases, and look how far technology has come in just the last few years with all the devices and we have devices now we never dreamed we would have. This is virtually unlimited capacity. Your residents are going to have the opportunity to access the latest technology at all times. All we have to do right now, we're a gig, our highest offering home is a gig down, a gig up. as technology increases, all we have to do is change the equipment on both ends of that infrastructure, and you can go to 5 gig, 10 gig. We call it future-proof because it is infrastructure that's coming in that's virtually going to be able to handle all of the capacity that's needed for the future. And it's the latest technology. It's very exciting for the residents. I think it's a game changer. It's a game changer for those that have to work from home now. It's a game changer for those that have children who might have to learn from home. I mean, quite frankly, in my personal opinion, after everything that has happened with COVID, businesses are looking at their workforce very differently. A lot of people might start to work from home because of what we've all been through. What's really great about that, because of this infrastructure, they will have the opportunity to do so. Another thing that I found, I looked up when I was preparing this for Town Manager Parker, was increase in home value. To be able to have a direct fiber optic connection to your home increases by 3.1% immediately. You don't have to access it, but you can, and therefore your home value will increase if you can connect to a gigabit of service. Only 20% of the homes in the United States have access to fiber, which makes this an extraordinary investment on our part. You know, it's the fastest internet. Our internet speeds, once we go into a community, of course, a third party will always evaluate it, and we are the fastest internet provider in any market that we're in. And the good thing about this is competition. Bringing competition into your community allows for those that are already in the market to do better. And that's what I'm saying. It's a great opportunity.
Oh, let's see what happened.
I like that you don't need more. Beautiful one.
Hold on, folks.
What did they say?
Hold on, I'm trying to find her. Kathy,
I'm back.
sorry about, I think I did that, I apologize.
That's okay. Now, where did I leave off? Town Manager Parker, where did I leave off?
We were talking about latest technology increasing in home, the access to fiber would increase
Great.
home values.
Perfect. And I will keep my remarks brief, but I think that the main thing, Mayor and Town Council, is we're working very closely with staff on being able to bring this initiative in. We're going to provide a high level of customer service. You've got the presentation. We have broad availability. We don't just come in and pick out a neighborhood. We do a substantial build that will show, staff and later council where we're going to build. We have a local presence. We will get involved in Winterville, although I think our storefront will be in Greenville. The close proximity, we want to support Winterville. We believe that's a win-win thing to do, right? You get to know us. We support you philanthropically. It's very important. No long-term contract. We're so confident in the infrastructure, we do not ask residents to have any type of a long-term contract. The other important part about this story is redundancy. We have a redundancy route. Every community that we go into as MetroNet is we ring it, which means if something should happen where fiber would get cut, we can take all that traffic and manage it and push it over to our other ring while we repair it. It's important to note that we will manage and take care of our own fiber. We will have technicians in the community present. We will be there 24/7 should there be a need for us to come out and repair or do anything. I know we're going to be working very closely with the Winterville utility. Fiber follows power. Wherever power is overhead, we put our fiber overhead. Wherever power is underground, we go underground in the communication space. And currently, simultaneously, while I'm having this discussion with you, we're working with the Winterville utility to talk about how we can do that and work with them on their poles and make ready. So we are already working with staff. I've had my introductory meeting with Town Manager Parker, and this is just an opportunity for you to know that we're having these discussions. It's important to note that should we continue to move on, and should we continue to come into Winterville, as I anticipate we will, that all of your residents will be part of a neighborhood communication where they will understand what we're trying to do, what we're trying to bring into the town. They'll understand that we have a very robust communication plan just to educate residents on A, what fiber optics is, and B, why people are working and doing what they're doing to bring it into their home, or the opportunity for them to access it. We try to take away as many calls from City Hall as possible. We're very big about restoration. We understand that's very important. And I encourage you, after I hang up this evening, to go to our construction website, which is highlighted in the slide deck that I provided, or you can just Google Metronet Construction. Your residents in Winterville, once we bring our letter agreement and get our approvals, will be able to go in and click on Winterville and see where Metronet crews are actively putting fiber in, where the future is going to be. They can ask questions. It's a very robust education piece that allows your residents to know exactly what is going on as we bring this fiber optics in. Responsiveness, 95% plus response rate within 24 hours. As I mentioned, we're in 9 states. Winterville will have a project manager, actually it's a director in that area, who will be responsible to responding to your citizens' questions within 24 hours. Across 9 states, we have a 95% rate of doing that. Our organization realizes that customer service begins from construction, and it's something that has set us apart. We know we have to work with you, your town, your officials, in making sure we do this right. We will hold ourselves accountable not only to our protocols, but those set forth in Winterville. We're going to work very closely with staff on coming up with a great permitting strategy. We will work closely with these discussions will continue to occur. I put in there our go-to-market plan. We let people know we don't wait to build up the entire town of Winterville before we light up a neighborhood. We light it as we go. So your residents will have an opportunity to know when they can access Metronet. We will be very forthcoming in our communication. What's been really successful for us is the opportunity to have transparent communication with all the cities that we work with, not only with community officials, but also with your residents. We have learned that that is the way that we can educate people and so that they understand what exactly, we're bringing into the community. In conclusion, I know all of you are working so hard for your constituents, and I've learned this across 9 states. I work in every footprint we go into. However, each community is different, and I know that you feel a responsibility to your constituents to at least offer them choice. And Metronet is really excited about the possibility of coming into Winterville and making an impact on those residents that, A, work from home, have children that are being schooled from home, or just have a lot of devices, iPads, all kinds of devices on their connection. It's going to be a game changer for the city, and I'm really excited to be able to be here tonight and just let you know that we are in discussions not only with the town staff but also with the utility.
Thank you, Kathy. That was a great introduction to Metronet and the company. If you would be willing, I would ask whether any of the council members have questions.
I was going to ask, does anyone have any questions?
I believe Councilwoman Robertson does, Mayor. If you would pull it close, thank you.
We have a large number of children now that have subscribed to, their parents have subscribed to cable because of schoolwork. Do you have anything that you would offer those parents?
Someone on the phone, please repeat that. I have a hard time hearing. I apologize when you're in the room. So could someone maybe repeat that question for me? I want to go ahead.
This is Councilwoman Robertson. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but there's a little bit of an echo. But please try again. I will do my best, Councilmember Robertson.
This is Councilmember Robertson.
Please go.
Is that better?
A little bit better. Did anyone hear the question that's on the phone? Perhaps they can
Kathy,
repeat that question.
Kathy, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so Councilwoman Robertson's question, and please correct me if I get it wrong, but she stated that there were several school children whose parents had signed up for cable, obviously due to everything that's been ongoing over the last year. And I believe Ms. Robertson's question was whether, what Metronet could possibly offer these parents.
And that's internet.
Internet related.
Okay, I understand what you're saying now. I apologize, and I might have not heard everything, but I think the gist of it, and then Town Manager Parker, correct me if I'm wrong. So especially in the last year of COVID, parents have had to school their children at home and have not had appropriate access to internet. Is there anything that we're doing to understand that need. Is that correct? Am I going on the right direction here?
I believe that's correct. And is there anything MetroNet potentially,
Special rate.
any special rates that you
Okay.
may offer?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. So here's what's important to know. We, especially now, understand the importance of accessibility to as many people as possible as something that they can afford to do and need to do, not only to work from home, but to school their children. What we will do as an organization is work closely with the town staff in Winterville to understand the unique needs that you have, Councilmember Robinson, in certain areas of your city. We're doing the same thing in Greenville, and it's a proactive move that we will make, and we will be able to. We're large enough to get, this is what I like about our company. We're large enough to get the job done, but we're small enough that we will listen to the individual needs in the community and are open to coming up with options as we work with every town, every city in addressing those needs. So it's an ongoing discussion, but it is one that we are very well aware of.
I have a question. This is Councilman Hines, and my question is basically is about customer service. I know you mentioned it, customer service, but I think for people around here, I think that's probably been one of the biggest problems is customer service. You know, and as long as we could get good customer service, get feedback, and I think, you know, that's what everybody's looking for. And then the other part to my question is technicians. Are there going to be MetroNet technicians, or are you going to sub these technicians out? You know, because the other parent company has like subs. You see subs, and then you get a call said that technician is going to be there between 8 and 12, and you stay there all day, and you still don't see a technician until later on, or either you get a call, well, we can't make it today, can we reschedule you for tomorrow? And that's one of our concerns. I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page on as far as customer service and technicians, what type of technicians.
Yes, sir. So our technicians, once that fiber is installed in Winterville, they are all going to be from that area. So we're very cognizant of that, and we are really big about our installs. There's two components to that. One is there's going to be a big economic development moment because we're going to be offering a lot of jobs to do that. The people that will be working for MetroNet in Winterville, Greenville, that area are going to be local people. So yes, customer service, and I cannot underscore this, it has been something that, here we are. We're investing all of this money in Winterville. It is a paramount piece of what we do to ensure that we're going to be successful is to have that customer service. And where I live, which is really interesting, I don't have MetroNet. We're not where I am, okay? So I'm not one of those 20% of the communities. And I certainly know that is a pain point for people, is that customer service. What I like about MetroNet is we realize that's an opportunity for us. That's an opportunity when you invest that much money, an opportunity to come in and address those concerns in a timely fashion. And yes, we will all be there. MetroNet will be in the region for customer service needs and technicians.
And then Kathy, I'm sorry, anybody else, but my other question is, if we did, as far as the town decide, when would this go in the ground or in the air or whatever? What would be the time frame? Would it be a 2-year process, a year process? How long would it take to get fiber run per se? Because you got to remember, you say y'all gonna be working with Greenville. Would it be simultaneous if we decide to tap on with Greenville, or how would it work?
That's a very interesting question, and I think that is why, sir, that we are talking with Winterville right now to try to lay the foundation for that, because I believe, and I mentioned this to Town Manager Parker, if she recalls, that you are so intertwined and close with Greenville, it would only make sense for us to be able to go over and simultaneously, neighborhoods literally, if I'm not mistaken, are across the street from each other. It would only make sense while our crews are somewhere that we would simultaneously include Winterville in that build as well. So what I'm saying by that is, and not necessarily are we going to build all of Greenville out first and then go to Winterville. I believe there's going to be some pockets, especially of Winterville, that are so attached or close to Greenville that we will pick those up at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
How soon
Certainly.
will you be up and running?
Did you hear that, Kathy?
How, s-
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
how soon will you begin supplying the service?
So what will happen is we anticipate to build out that area. And the good thing about this is if you see the 9 states where we are, sometimes I'm in Minnesota, so I was very excited to come to that area, I must tell you. So I typically tell people that when we get, we're going to sign a letter of agreement, we're going to work with staff on that. We're going to work with the utility on making sure for pole attachment we're all together. Typically, once all that occurs, we will start construction as soon as possible, and we anticipate this whole region being built within 2 years. 2 years.
I was watching my favorite team Saturday night, and it paused. It ruined my night. My two favorite teams.
And I'll tell you, I think what's been really impactful for me, especially in my position, is I really see the passion that government officials have for each of their cities, their towns. And now, when I started this 7 years ago working for the organization, people didn't understand the importance of broadband. And after everything we've been through with COVID, everybody understands that. And what I like is, to your point, when we start building, we light people up as soon as possible. I mean, we don't wait to build the whole city. We start lighting people up immediately. And it's a great feeling for me because I can see it impact people. And again, whether they take it or not, it's wonderful that there's now a choice for the residents of Winterville, and we are happy to work with staff and the town in trying to provide that. So I thank you for your time this evening.
I have one more. I promise. This is it. And basically, I reckon the elephant in the room is basically comparison to our current internet provider now. As far as pricing, will you be competitive? Will you be on the same level or what? Because, basically,
Sure.
I'm going to be getting the same thing from you as far as pricing, and you can tell me maybe your customer service is a little bit better, I may go with you, but if you're not, I don't want to go through the hassle of changing everything over. I just leave it as it is. So are you going to come in a little bit lower? I'm just asking.
Right. And I understand that. And so I encourage you to look at our website. You can just type in MetroNet and you'll see our pricing. But we have gone through a long process of due diligence. For us to build up this area, it's going to cost our organization $40 million. So part of our due diligence is we do not come into a community to outprice ourselves. Okay, we don't do that. What you're going to find is technology, since the last provider has been there, has increased so rapidly that to your point, if you pay the same price, you're going to get more for the same. You're going to get a true fiber optic connection. You're not going to buffer. You're not going to do anything. So it's more, the customer service, of course, I told you, is extremely important, but you're going to notice a drastic change in the service and the offerings that you're going to be able to access. And all of the pricing is there, and again, so confident in the infrastructure, no contract. I mean, you could take a look at it. But yes, it's a wonderful question, and I get it a lot. We do not come into any market, part of our due diligence, to price ourselves out. You're actually, if you pay a certain price, you're going to get way more for the same price. Or if you want, you probably will get, a lot of times, if you go to like a lower offering that we have, you might even be saving some money. So that's just something to look at, but that's how I'll end up by saying we do not come into any market across 9 states and price ourselves out.
Yes. This is Councilman Moy. My question is, I know it might be early at this time. Can you imagine about how far out from the city limits of Greenville and Winterville that you will go out, or you will maintain your service only into the city limits of Winterville and Greenville?
Again, Councilmember Moy, that's another great question. So typically what happens is when we come in for a certain region, I call it, an area, okay, Greenville, Winterville, I think we're looking at Simpson. We come in and we initially start with, get to bring it all in. Okay, so now we're starting to bring fiber optics in. So once we come in there, we make the commitment to take care of those, those cities. However, once we're there, and this is my personal observation, and it's with our company, we expand. And if there's expansions within the county, especially neighborhoods that are adjacent to city builds, we're always willing to look at that and get that started. But if you think about it, what we do is we'll go in, we'll sort of have an anchor, and we build out from that. So as our anchor continues, to expand and grow out, we always go out and expand into other areas, should they be close to, definitely since they're close to city build.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Any
We're not
more
opposed to
questions?
looking at that, yeah.
Are there any more questions? If not, we thank you for your presentation, Ms. Schuler.
Thank you, Mayor Jackson, and I look forward to working with town staff and the utility, and we look forward to hopefully getting started in Winterville in the near future. Again, thank you for your time. Should any of you have any questions, maybe you might want to direct them through Town Manager Parker, but I'd be always happy to answer anything offline should you think about it. So thank you very much for having me. Have a good evening.
Kathy, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the public comment section. I don't think anyone has signed up, have they?
Mayor, we've had no one sign up for public comment.
Okay. Moving on to item number 9 is the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion? Or anything that needs to be removed?
Moore make a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor?
Parker?
Yes, sir. Motion made by Councilman Moy, seconded by Councilwoman Robertson. And I'll start with the poll. Councilman Moy?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines?
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
And Councilman Moore?
Yes.
I believe we have all votes in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented.
All right, moving on to item number 10, is the sanitary sewer rehab. I'm assuming, I'm not sure who's going to do that one.
Mayor, we have Mr. Williams with us this evening, and I also believe we have Mr. Blaine Humphrey with the Wooten Company here. Rivers.
Mayor and Council, this is Ken. This item, if you recall, the town was funded through the state revolving fund for $3.5 approximately $1 million for our sewer rehab project. We took bids, received bids, opened bids, and low bid amount, the contract was awarded. It came in about $190,820 over the approved funding amount. The approval, we staff requested additional funds and were approved by SRF. So this is just an adoption of a resolution accepting the loan offer in the full amount of $3,723,029. Recall, $500,000 of this will be principal forgiveness. The remaining principal balance will be at 0% interest over 20 years. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those. And just an FYI, the contractor will be beginning the work on this project tomorrow in town.
Make a motion to approve.
Second it.
Mayor, we have a motion by Councilman Moore, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Hines, to approve the said resolution. And I will poll the board, starting with Councilman Moy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
and Councilman Moore.
Yes.
I believe we have all votes in favor of approving the resolution as submitted. And Blaine, my apologies. I know who you work with. I've just had a long day, so please forgive me.
Okay. Item number 11. Item number 11 is the A.G. Cox renovation. Councilman Moore.
Well, on several occasions in the paper, it was, and I've had conversations with them before, they said they'd come to the town council and do a presentation on the building. As we know, at no point in time had they come. I thought that was odd. Maybe they forgot. I'm not sure what the rationale was. But I was hoping tonight we would see those, maybe with a slide presentation. I think it's going to be 6 or 8 classrooms, is that correct? In the new front building. When this project started out, it was a little under $5 million, and now it's $10 million. We're not going to bring it in here at all, but look at it, pass it around?
Staff, I told council that the plans we received for the A.G. Cox renovation were pretty massive, not necessarily easily transported. I didn't know if any of you would like to weigh in on what the plans entail, Brian, and maybe an overview, if you could.
You good? It's going to have 2 driveways, a circle driveway.
Brian?
I'm sorry, I was trying to get it off mute. Can
Oh.
you repeat? I was hard time hearing.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what was the question, Terry?
Well, Councilman Moore, you want to?
Will it have a circle driveway in front of the school?
So no, there'll be the front portion site plan will just, so where the old building's going to get demoed, and a major portion of that's going to be parking. So they'll actually have entrance off Sylvania to come through and circle through and then exit back off of Sylvania, if I'm not mistaken, without looking at it. So, but there won't be a circle drive, no, sir.
Will not be a circle drive. Will it be 2-story?
Will it be 2 what now?
2-story building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Brian, would you like to go over sort of the highlights of the plan itself? As I previously stated, I told council the plans were fairly massive, so it would be difficult to come in and spread them out and have everybody take a look at them. So if you could go over sort of the overview.
Hold on 1 second. Let me actually try to pull them up so I can kind of get a. It's been a while since we actually approved the site plan a good little bit ago. So Mike, the building inspections, just got the building permits in hand. Obviously, they were waiting on the funding to come through. So that happened just not January. I think they got it in December or maybe January. Let's see. Bear with me 1 second. But it's going to be a phased project, obviously. So we're looking at. Let's see here.
With Terry,
Yes.
while he's looking at that, you did say that we could, as they are here.
Absolutely. We could make them available for you to view them after the meeting if you so choose, but they're pretty massive, so you may want to, if you want to spend some time, then coming back, when we can set aside some time might be best, but we're certainly more than happy to have you look at them. We just know that it's difficult for all of you to try to do that simultaneously.
There's been 3 different
Absolutely.
plans.
Yeah, anytime you guys want to do it, you just let us know. We'll make them available. So phase 1, they're actually going to start in the back of the campus. So they're going to have a new classroom wing back there. So that'll be the actual first phase. So you won't really see anything. If you're right by on Church Street, first phase, you hardly even notice they're back there. Obviously, you'll see construction entrances and everything toward the back of the property, but that's going to be first phase. So phase 2, they'll move over to a renovation of the existing building on Boyd Street. So they'll, right by the bus unloading and loading area, so they're going to do a classroom renovation there. So that building will be pretty much vacant. So I guess the hope is to move everybody into the first, to the new building while they're renovating phase 2 building. Phase 3 kind of moves back down to what they're calling the 400 building classroom wing. That's just another reno. So they're going to just kind of work their way back up, and from the plans that we've approved, there are 5 phases, and that final phase will be the new admin building. So that'll be what you see up front. So that building up front will be demoed, and you'll see a parking lot, and then the new admin building going up there. So like I said, this is I think the original estimation was a 2-year project, so it's going to be pushing into 2023, possibly 2024 by the time they get done with this.
Will any trees be saved in front of the school?
I'm sorry, did you say trees?
Trees, yes. Any of the trees be saved?
They don't point any. I have to pull up the vegetation plan. Yeah, it looks like they're going to save the majority of them. They'll add a good little bit too. It looks like.
The beginning communication was to just rehab the building. The first person who's now at Durham County Schools said they were going to renovate inside the building. It was just, he said, he was assistant superintendent in this county before we moved there. It just the same cost to renovate the building as it was. The second plan was, then the stormwater kind of got involved, was to make it look just like the present building, 1 story. But when the stormwater pond came into play, they didn't have a choice but go up, please. It's a fire hazard with kids in it. I know that Chicago's keeping their building so far. I thought sure it was going to be torn down. That their building's not going to be torn down. Because I have a new building too. So it has changed. It has evolved the last 6-7 years. I wish we could have more.
Brian, when are they supposed to start in the back? I know that's the first phase, and I know they've hauled out. The majority of those mobile units are gone. There was one they were pulling out this past weekend, I think.
I would
when are they
think
supposed to start back there?
So sorry to cut you off, Mike. So they've got the permits right now for the building permits in hand. So I think it really depends on Mike's review process and getting that squared away. I would say within, presumably within the month or so, they would.
Yeah, I know it looked close. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
But if certainly, we're happy to go through the plans and show you what they've submitted and what's been approved. If you all would like to come by, just let us know.
Number 2.
Any?
Mayor, so we'll move forward to number 2. How long ago was it that we let the county take over the rescue? How many years ago was that, Mayor? Remember the county took it over completely?
I
took over rescue.
You and I was on board
didn't
at that
catch
time.
quite catch you totally.
Mayor, can you hear?
Mayor,
Yes.
It was yes.
do you remember when we did a contract with the county about supplying services for rescue?
Folks, I believe it was 2002.
2002, okay. And is it true that we can move out of the contract at any time?
Well, again, the contract is with the county. You have to give a year's notice, is my understanding.
That's correct.
And then we would be responsible for finding our own EMS coverage.
Have y'all looked into what time and what population would move into having our own rescue technical administration?
Say that one more
Have
time.
you had any plans at which time we might want to take over recreation? I mean, not recreation, rescue. I said recreation.
Certainly, there have been internal discussions. I believe that currently EMS, which is, I'll remind everyone, is a separately chartered organization funded by Pitt County and other funds. I believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, there may be plans to move towards the town taking over EMS. I don't think currently EMS has any plans to have that happen in the near future. They're running well. They run harmoniously with our fire department, and I believe that, again, things are working very well. We provide 2 full-time paramedic positions to EMS for the purpose of working with that department. They reimburse us for salary and benefits for those 2 positions.
Is that 2 positions each shift? Or is it
That's just 2 positions, period.
that's all they have?
That is full-time, that are Town of Winterville employees that work solely for Winterville EMS, and Winterville EMS reimburses us for their salary and benefits.
Do they get retirement?
Yes, they get all the same benefits any other employees with the town get, because they are town employees.
Who are they?
We have Jason Jackson
Jason Jackson?
and Michael Stocks.
They know we have-
Any more questions?
I was gonna ask Terry, currently, how many visit on the EMS staff?
I don't know, I would have to ask Chief Moore. Chief Moore is on the board for that organization. Chief, do you know currently how many part-time and folks the EMS department has? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean,
Hear me now?
Yes.
There's approximately 25 part-time paramedics. And that, that fluctuates from time to time, but that's the average.
25 part-time paramedics.
How many of them work for the city of Greenville?
Did you hear that, Chief?
For instance, if we had a disaster, would we have enough coverage here? That's my point.
So I know where your question is headed, and in the past, it was a great deal. Currently, I'm not going to say we don't have any, but I can't think of probably more than 5 at this point. That's really changed a lot. But you're exactly right. In the past, that was a concern.
But not a concern now.
That's changed. That's changed a great deal.
All right, if you're looking long-term, at what population would we like to have full-time rescue staff like fire department?
I think there are several concerns. One would be the tax base, tax rate, the infrastructure to do medical billing and things like that. If you recall, we did a feasibility study back in 2015, which, was based on data from 2013 and 14, so it's dated at this point. And at that time, it would just barely break even for the annual budget, and that wouldn't take into account some of the costs that we would incur that we don't currently incur. So I don't think we're quite to that point yet, but it's really, there's a lot of metrics there that you can look at. One is the tax base and the rate and what it generates. Also the saturation rate, how much that particular truck is in service on calls.
How many trucks do you have?
Say again?
You have 2 trucks?
We have 2 trucks. We operate 1 truck at a time, and then we operate 1 as a reserve.
One's a reserve.
Chief, I think it would stand to reason to point out that if we let council our contract with the county, then we would then revert back to corporate limit coverage only. So there would then be some differential, I would imagine, in costs and revenues associated with that change.
Absolutely, and honestly, it would take another feasibility study, to look at it, you know, and the current metrics and really gain a perspective on it.
I would think part of that feasibility study would need to include a full-blown cost of service analysis to truly know what our costs are, to be able to compare that with revenues.
Absolutely, and there would be a lot of upfront dollars spent, and there would also be some recurring costs.
Does your local board own the trucks, or does the county own the trucks?
Say again?
Does your local board that you're on own the trucks, or the county own the trucks?
We own them locally. I believe we may be the only squad left that owns them.
Chief, I believe that's correct.
What did he say?
That Winterville EMS may be, I'm pretty sure it's been stated, they are the only entity in the county that own their own. The county owns all others.
So Farmers are owned by the county?
Chief, the question was, Farmville's trucks are owned by the county. I believe the answer is yes.
I can't say for 100%, but I believe that's correct. I think we're the only one left in the county.
And what's the advantage of us owning our own trucks? Just
Well,
curious.
Well,
I believe we,
currently,
go ahead, Chief.
you know, currently they're paid for. So, I mean, basically we have decision-making ability as it relates to our vehicles, maintenance, replacement, whatever. You know, if they need to be replaced on a particular schedule, we have control over that.
Okay, thank you.
There's drawbacks also, but those are some of the advantages.
That's all.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Moving on to item number 12 is items for future agendas.
Councilwoman Robertson has an item.
I don't know if you can hear me very well. I know a couple of years ago, Reverend Turnage and Ms. Anderson and some other citizens came before the board and requested that a street be named Martin Luther King Avenue or whatever. And I don't remember what we decided on that. But I would like to see that discussed by our board and a decision made on it. I'm suggesting that we name it from Tyson Street to Beacon Drive. You know, that's my suggestion. And I'd like to see the board discuss it in a future agenda or whatever.
Councilwoman Robertson, you're talking about Railroad.
Railroad.
Now, Railroad starting at Worthington, I believe, to Beacon is a state road. I don't think that belongs to us. I would stand corrected if
The
any
sign
staff,
says it's state maintained.
if staff knows differently, but
I know it is state maintained, but there's several big potholes on it right now. If you go down there, I mean, major.
The state might allow us to do that.
But it's been called railroad, so, I mean,
I was just mentioning that from I don't think we could make that decision unilaterally for that section of Railroad.
and I know that there may be a question about continuity, but Railroad Street turns into Beacon Drive in a sense. So therefore, that transition, will be there. But I do think that we need to act on that, request.
Now, I do believe, I'll go back and look at the minutes, but the board opted to take no action in the previous request, and I would have to go back to see how long ago that was.
If that's the case, I'd like for us to reconsider.
Okay, the
I'd like
next
to add an
item.
item that we honor the principal at W.H. Robinson. It's a B school, one of 5 in the county. Should be proud of what she's done.
And she does have deep roots in this community. Her father graduated from W.H. Robinson, Carmen,
I didn't catch what you said.
People speak very highly of her.
Mayor, the request was to, from Councilman Moore, was to honor the principal from W.H. Robinson. And staff could certainly work on some proclamation or document honoring the principal. We might need some help with some information, but,
Ask for a feature story in the
Okay.
newspaper. How did she obtain that? The only school we have in our community is a B. She must have some tricks other teachers and principals don't have. Knowledge, personality.
Very good.
Yes.
we've got it.
And I've got a question. I don't think it's maybe future agendas, but when we were looking at that presentation about MetroNet, about poll fees, we get poll fees from Suddenly, right?
That's correct.
How does this tie into that? You know?
It would be a separate pole attachment agreement. There would be, my understanding and my research is Greenville currently negotiated a pole attachment agreement with MetroNet and a right-of-way access agreement. Obviously, that would be for our streets in town. We would need to negotiate similar agreements with MetroNet, and that's going to be probably the next meeting that staff has with MetroNet will be from the more utility-specific side. We'll be bringing those agreements back to council upon such time as, I know Keene's been sort of involved at the 10,000-foot level, but once we sort of drill down and get those more specifically on the table, we'll be back for you all, asking you all to approve those, assuming there are no hiccups.
Would that go, all right, our town stops at Reedy Branch Road. There's a left-hand side, which is the south side of Four Lines Road. So there's people along that road to the neighborhood in front of South Central would have access to that.
We would have to confirm that because, I mean, obviously being part of Greenville, then we'd have to kind of find out what their build-out plans are. But I think that's probably a good example of where she was referring to Greenville on one side and Winterville on the other, that we're so close in many areas that it made sense for them to consider us for construction. So we will start nailing down some of those details. But if you'll recall, she said where there are poles and where there is infrastructure above ground, they'll attach accordingly. Where infrastructure is below ground, they would then go into rights of way and easements to install the infrastructure.
So do we get revenue from the underground wires?
No, probably no. Any revenue would come from pole attachment agreements. So it's not a moneymaker, but it's some offset to share the space, so to speak.
I didn't know if suddenly had a monopoly on the
No, where there are poles, we have the negotiating ability. I'll go back and make sure that the current pole attachment agreement, but I mean, I certainly don't think it has any language that would prohibit us being able to negotiate that with another provider.
Terry, the existing agreement is not exclusive to Suddenly.
Thank you, Robert. I know Robert's been working diligently with attorneys with MetroNet, sharing current pole attachment agreements, answering lots of questions. And so they've already started many weeks ago some of their due diligence work on their side. So Robert and his folks have been working hard to supply that information.
Okay, I guess, moving on to item number 13, any department heads wish to make a report?
Calling for any staff reports.
I gather there's none.
I'm going to assume by the rush to give reports that we don't have any this evening, so.
Well, Terry, have we had any information on the expansion of Evans Street, Tar Road?
No, sir, as far as I know, that's still put off.
Back to the table?
I'm sorry?
Have they brought that back to the table?
No, I don't believe that that's,
We attended a meeting, a virtual meeting, 2 months ago? It's been put off to 2025.
I don't think it's going to be happening anytime soon. 25 is the
It
current.
was 24, and it was moved back, every project in Pitt County has been moved back to 25. And every motion was made by Steve Tripp and the mayor of Simpson, those two.
The last thing I heard was that it moved up to 2025.
That's correct. So it's still a ways away, Councilman Moy.
Yes. You know, I think I made a statement last time. I don't understand how, at the western part, from on the other side of Wooks and on up around Raleigh and Chapel Hill and places like that, it appears that they are still active in developing, upgrading and taking care of their streets. For some reason or another, Eastern, we just on the alibi ourselves.
Councilman Moy, that's been a
For some
long,
reason or another.
that's been a long-standing issue, equality, if you will. Eastern North Carolina has always struggled to get its fair share. Having said that, I know there are lots of projects, as you all drive that way, you always see they're consistently under construction in those areas of the state. So I'm sure they were at a point where some of those had to continue, but I will state that we continue and probably will have to, for the foreseeable future, lobby and fight to get our fair share of the appropriate revenues to maintain our infrastructure accordingly.
We did get a $9 million building in Pitt County, DOT
Yes.
building,
Yes, absolutely.
$10 million.
It's been this way for as long as I can remember, and it doesn't seem to ever change.
I do think the creation of the MPO and the committees that go along with that are huge help, because that's a recognized group that seem to, that's been able to help us get some projects we may not have otherwise been able to get.
Yeah, we have written letters, we've been there in person, and we've done about everything that I know we can do to get some results, and none. It just seems that way. Anything east of 95 is slow compared to the rest of the
But
state.
we did get Main Street.
Yes, and Boyd Street,
Boyd, okay.
finally.
There you go. That's
So-
success. Boyd
so-
was a success.
We do have some wins. It just takes us a little longer sometimes and some persistence, but we just know that we just have to continue.
New bypass, $230 million.
Yeah. That bypass was first put on the books in 1985.
Wow.
Just completed, 2 years ago?
2
A year
years
ago?
Yes.
Okay. If no reports could be made, Mr. Harvey, you have announcements?
Yes, Mayor and Council, let me remind you of the announcements this month. Planning and Zoning Board meeting will be on Monday, February the 15th at 7 p.m. here in Town Hall. It'll also be electronic via Zoom. Board of Adjustment meeting on Tuesday, February the 16th at 7 p.m. here in Town Hall, but also electronic via Zoom. Recreation Advisory Board will be on Tuesday, February the 23rd at 6:30 here in Town Hall, but also electronic via Zoom. I draw your attention to item 4. The NCLM Town and State Social this year, of course, is virtual and not in personal. It will be on Wednesday, March the 3rd, and it starts at 5 p.m. And the last page of your agenda has the information on that. If you want to or are interested in partaking with that, if you will let me know, I will get you signed up for that.
How much is that, Mr. Brown?
I'll let you know.
I have no idea.
I
Thank you, Mr.
think it
Harvey.
was $50. It's not,
It's nominal, but I
Yeah.
don't recall.
yeah, anybody, if you're very interested in wanting to do it, just let me know, so I can sign you up, and I'm sure they'll have to, you'll get information how to log on, so on and so forth, so, just let me know. I'll send you a reminder, but we need to go on and do that before too long. That's the last one, Mayor.
Okay, reports now from the town attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Moore.
I would like to see if we could get the health department invited to come to Winterville one day to get shots.
Okay?
Make our place available. The shots here in town. People might not want to go over in heavy traffic. If you're a senior citizen, I'll be there soon, already there. But I'd like for the set up location here, somewhere in Winterville.
Chief Moore, I don't know, Chief Moore, I don't know if you know anything about that you would want to say tonight, but we can certainly check into it.
The fire department had, I think, 300 in one day.
We tried that, yes, we made it available, and then the locations were changed, and then everything sort of kind of congregated at Vidant, and that seems to be where most of that's happening currently, so. But we'll certainly ask.
Well,
So were you talking about testing or vaccines?
vaccine and testing.
So the both items are running through Vidant. The testing is happening over by the old ViQuest, and the vaccination site, the mass vaccination site, is set up at the convention center, of course. But I understand that Walgreens will be providing some vaccinations at some point, but I don't know when.
My understanding is that,
happened, it may give us some other locations.
right, Walgreens, I think, is the direct federal pharmacy that will be provided with vaccines. Again, is my understanding, Chief, in Pitt County currently, it's still vaccinating, is it 75 or over, 65 or over?
65.
65 or over.
That's all I have.
65 over right now.
Okay.
I'd like to say that my wife and I went to the convention center with no problem whatsoever. Went through and I'd say within 15 minutes, other than having to wait 15 after we got the vaccination, it was it. It was very convenient.
The
Yes,
shot
it
is
is.
not painful at all. It must be the smallest needle on earth.
That's good to know.
All right, Mr. Smith.
No report, Mayor.
All right. Ms. Robinson?
I wanted to first relate to Terry that our library first used to pay our library personnel, and Greenville gave their folks a raise. So we may look for a small raise in our contribution because they did give salary raise.
So did the county. So there have been some adjustments made after revenues appeared to be better than expected. We had the same scenario. I have not had a chance to get together with Anthony to see where we are and whether the council would entertain that in this current, and as an adjustment in this current fiscal year. I wanted to talk to the finance director first.
But they approved their monies last week. It was a Zoom meeting, but also, we've had several suicides in our area. And so I feel like there's a great need for us to start speeding up our process of our multi-purpose building. Not saying that this would be the only factor, but to try to do some things shopping day, my first shopping day. And I urge everybody in the community that 65 and older to go on and get their shots. That's the only way we're gonna slow the spread of, COVID. As Mr. Moore and the mayor said, it's a quick process. Everybody moves smoothly through, no waste of time, and everything. But, if anybody can't get through, get an appointment, they give me a call. I know some people that can help them get through that process. So, that's it.
Okay. Councilman Hines.
I don't have any at this time, Mayor.
Councilman Moy.
Yes, I just have one item. I had several calls about, interested in they're interested to know exactly where we at on the senior citizen building that is talking about building on Chapman Street. Do anybody know exactly where we at on that, or we planning on having those apartments built?
I believe Brian sent you all an updated email, but Brian, could you briefly go over where the status of the proposed senior citizen living facility off of Chapman is?
Yes, ma'am. So I reached out to Tim Morgan with Evergreen Construction just after the new year and just to see the status. So they did not receive funding from the Housing Finance that they went for, North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. So they've applied and they're currently in their application process. So I think it's a multi-step, multi-phased application process. The first phase beginning in January, and then their final documentation has to be to Raleigh by May, early May, and they should know something thereafter. So right now it's still up in the air as far as them getting funding. But I think I said it in the email as well. If so, the property is technically still on the market. So if anybody would come and purchase it other than Evergreen Construction, then they would have to rezone it because of that conditional district that we placed on that parcel. So it's specific for that project at this point. So anything moving forward other than that project would have to go back before council.
Okay, and you said that we should know something approximately around May, whether or not they received the fund. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's their time, and I'm not sure. I would say summertime we should know something. I don't know exact dates on it. It was a pretty general email, so this is just based on the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency's funding processes. So.
Evergreen Construction, I mean, they are definitely familiar with and adept at making these applications for funding, so I'm sure they know how to tweak and continue, hopefully, to get a successful award.
Okay,
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Miss Manager Parker.
I just want to tell everybody it's always good to see you. Glad to know that you're well and safe, and these meetings give me hope that we're going to soon be back to at least business a little more normal, maybe not completely normal, but we're trying to get there. So everybody continue to stay safe, and thank you.
Okay, I have nothing except that wish everyone a continued Happy New Year. With that being said, do I hear a motion we adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Tony Moore.
I believe we had a second from Mayor Pro Tem Hines. So Mayor, I'll poll, starting with Councilman Moy.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes, yes.
Councilwoman Robertson.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
And Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Folks, thank you very much, and I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the night and rest of the week.
Continue to stay safe.
Take care.